Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm just about to do an oil change on the DR650 and I thought I'd take the front wheel off and the rear wheel off and see what kind of grease the factory puts on them, see if there's enough. If not, we'll put some more on. This will be the DR650's first ever oil change. So I got myself a OEM Suzuki filter, one of the crush washers. That cost me $14.60 New Zealand. Then I went and got this stuff here. Some people say don't use synthetic yet, but I'm sure it's going to be fine. Each to their own. So what I think we'll do is we'll start by draining the oil. The bike's nice and warm now. And then get to some other maintenance stuff afterwards. So let's get into it. Alright, so it looks like I've only got this bucket to drain the oil. I would go get something else, but we're actually in quarantine because of the coronavirus bloody thing. Shows you how organised I am. So we'll start with that. I'm actually going to make this video a little bit longer and just like stop cutting and cropping things. So just let me know if you prefer that. It's going to be a bit longer than usual. So first things first, you need a 17mm, which I got here. Crack the bottom loose, drain the oil, then we'll get to the filter. So let's start doing that. Okay, so I'm not going to cut any of this footage. Let's see how much of a dick I'll make it myself. So, get that loose first. Right. Slide this under, this is going to be tricky. Let's see if I screw it up. I can't even remember how long the threads are. It's coming. Just push up, keep pushing up. Then when you think the thread's ended, you just kind of tilt off to the side and it shouldn't hit you so much. I should put gloves on, but there we go, perfect. Perfect. Barely even got oil on me. Alright, so we'll let that drain. Just come over this side and pull the bike up straight. Get some more of it out. There we go. So I'll get back to you guys and we'll take the filter out. Alright, so while that's draining, let's get the gloves on before someone asks. Got a bit of a funny situation with my skid plate. This one here, this 8mm here, I can't get it straight on with the socket, so I'll have to use a spanner on that one. I'm actually not going to use a torque wrench on this because I don't think you need to, honestly. I know someone's going to tell me off for that. I'm just going to use something small like this and just give it, you know, let it bottom out, give it another quarter turn. That's plenty. I will use a torque wrench for the sump, but for these, I think my torque wrench is too big. It's not, I don't know how you call it, sensitive enough. So let's whack these off. Yeah, they're not too tight at all. And the spanner for this one, actually I'll use the ring end, makes sense. Yep, cool. That's them. Wind them out. It's going to be a bit of a mess actually. Before I continue, let me grab a rag. Alright, so I got myself some rags. I'll just put them under here so that it doesn't get under the skid plate and make a sticky mess when I get into them. Dirt, things like that. That should do it. Alright, let's back these out. And just keep pressing it in when you're pulling them out. And if I remember right, these are all the same length, but I'm going to put them in order anyway. It's just a good habit to have. Some of you guys might have your own system, but that's what I do. So put them on the floor in order. Last one. There it goes. Yep, they're all the same size. Got another rag, I might just stick it under here because it is coming out already. Yep. What a mess. So you got your spring here. That goes on the cover. Remember that? My O-rings came off. That goes off obviously on the cover. And then the filter comes out. Just remember which way it goes. Yep, I've made a mess, guys. But I'm not cutting any of this, so enjoy. You can laugh at me if you want. Alright, so what I'll do now is I'll just clean this up a little bit, put the sump plug back in, and then we'll get around to putting some oil in it. Alright, let's do it. Alright, let's just whack this filter on. Just make sure the surfaces are nice and clean. I'm not going to be changing the O-rings, guys, on the filter, because I just don't think there's any need, because the bike's only done 800 kilometers, 500 miles, something like that. So it's fine, guys, in my opinion. Let's filter it. Obviously, it goes that way. There's a wee O-ring in here, it sits over that. So sit it in there, like so. You can feel that O-ring. And then you get your cover. I'm guessing you guys can guess which way this goes. We'll put some oil on this O-ring here just to seal it better. So I'll put that on there and then we'll torque it up. Okay, so a little bit of the new oil. Doesn't have to be too much, I guess. Just to get it nice and wet. Make sure it's all clean, obviously, otherwise you're going to get leaks. Right, that looks pretty good. And back on we go. Make sure that spring stays where it's supposed to be. I can even see it from the side. Yeah, it's all good. Okay. So putting these back in to at least hold the filter in there. One. Don't want to let go of it now when there's one bolt in there. Make sure you try to get all of them in first before you let go of it. It's quite hard doing this kind of thing with a camera in the way. Come on. Put this one in. That skid plate is a real pain, honestly. I don't know why they didn't put a notch here or something, just so you can get straight at it, but they didn't. Never mind. Alright, it's in now. Tighten them all up. And we're good. I'll just torque it down with an 8mm again. Nice, even. You can't really screw it up with 3 bolts. So we'll just get them even first. Stupid idea this is. Okay, that's just bottomed out. That's bottomed out. That's bottomed out. So what I do is this, basically. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but this is what I've been doing for years. See, I've got it there, it's bottomed out, I've got no torque on it, and then just like that. That's plenty. And the same with this one. Just a wee bit. Done. Never had problems with it yet. Feel free to give me your opinions though. Let's put that sump plug back in. Alright, so we'll just hand tighten that for now. So the crush washer sits down. Yep. Okay. Alright, so I'll be honest with you guys, I barely ever use this torque wrench. I know it's pretty bad, but it's just, I mean, in reality, how many people actually use them? Once again, I know I'm going to get told off for that. Let's try it from this angle. Here we go. Honestly guys, you don't need a torque wrench. The only reason I had mine out was to, for the sake of this video. But look, I'm not actually putting much pressure on it at all. I can feel the crush washer crushing down. Still consistent torque. You'll feel when it bottoms out, and then just don't hang on it. Just give it a nice little tweak, and you'll be fine, I promise. You don't need a torque wrench, okay? There we go, it's bottomed out. Now let's get a good angle on this. It's hard with one hand, sorry guys. There. Right, so it's bottomed out. So the angle I'm on here, just like that. Done. Doesn't need any more. Tell you what, these bottles are quite handy. So these are 1 litre. I've got 2 of these, and you may be thinking it's only 2 litres. It says 2.3. That's lying. They don't take 2.3. Every single time anyone's ever done that, they overfill them. So I'll show you what I mean. Put this 2 litres in, we'll run the bike, and I'll show you what level it's on. A lot of you guys will say it's because of residual oil. It's not. No matter how much you drain it, you'll never get 2.3 in there, unless you slightly overfill it. So, finish doing this, start her up, and check the level. Okay, check to see there's no leaks. I've checked underneath, nothing's leaking anywhere. Fire her up. How am I going to do this with one hand? I'll see if I can get it under my chin. Hang on. There you go. And fire it up. Well, obviously the key is to go on. This is awkward. Cool. Get on. Let it run for a couple of minutes. Alright, so the bike's been sitting for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Let's see. That looks pretty good to me. It's just a fraction under, but I'm happy with that. That's plenty. Alright, so let's take these wheels off and see what the factory grease is like. So my chain, I know, is pretty good. I'm happy with the tension. Seems about right. So what I'm going to do, just because I'm lazy, it's on 2 anyway. I was going to draw a line, but it looks like they're on 2. Let's see if the other side's the same. It should be. Yep, 2. So just remember that when I put it back together, make the job a bit easier. So let's get it off. Alright, so basically I'm just sliding the axle out just to see how much grease is on there. I'll do the same with the front too. Everything in order there. This just comes straight out theoretically. Let's see. Take some weight off the wheel. Yep, she's coming. Look at that. Oh man, they don't put much grease on there at all. Look at that, it's quite dry. So we'll put some grease on this and we'll just slide it back in. Peace of mind at least. I will check the linkage grease in the future, but for now the 2 axles will do if it's not. So let's just wipe this clean. Yep. Grab some grease. Don't be shy, just cake it on. Can't hurt. This is waterproof grease too, so it should help. That should be heaps. Alright, so I'll put this back on and then we'll go to the front wheel. Alright, so that's the back done. When I move to the front, I'll just move the stand up to the front of the skid plate so the front wheel sits off the ground. And then undo these 8mm here, undo the axle, pull it out, re-grease it. Alright, so we'll crack these loose. These aren't very tight and they do break quite easily, I've heard, so just be careful with them. Alright, so they're all loose. You chuck it, you have to figure out what that is. It's like a 19, 20 something. Yep, 19. So I'll loosen that off. And that is on a thread on the other side. Pretty sounds dry. That's the way out there. This one's got a light film of grease, but not too much. Anyways, wipe that off, put some new stuff on, put it back on. Alright, so the axle's back on. So tighten these up. Just be gentle. Crisscross pattern usually helps. Alright, front wheel's back on. Make sure everything looks and acts normal. And also make sure you do these up evenly. Spacing's pretty much the same all the way around. What I've got to do now is just jack it up with the stand just in front of the linkage, and then we'll start pulling the linkage apart. So let's get into it. Alright, so this is on the right side of the bike. You've got two nuts here and here. I'm going to pull them off first. I'm going to keep it real simple, just pulling them off and then putting them back on with some more grease. That's all I'm doing. Obviously the bike doesn't need a rebuild or anything yet. It hasn't done that much miles. So let's take these two nuts off and then have a look what's inside. Okay, so they look like 19s to me, so let's try that. Yep, 19s, so let's crack them loose. Alright, so I'm going to keep these videos slightly longer like the last maintenance video, just so you can see exactly what's going on, and make any mistakes and whatnot, so you can learn for yourself. So let's see how tight these are for a start. Oh, okay. Hopefully I don't push the bike off the stand. I might need some more leverage. Alright, let's try this one for now, eh? Bugger it. I'll get the rubber mallet. 1 second. Alright, so I got the rubber mallet. It worked for this one. This one here was a bit of a pain, so I've already told you a wee lie. I did it off camera, but I had to stand on it here just to get enough leverage, because I don't really have an extension. I should get one. Anyway, it's nice and loose now, so just for the sake of the video, I wouldn't always necessarily do this, but as an idea, you can put right front, just a little bit of indication, so you can just put it back together without having to think too much, and then obviously the other side will be left front. So just a tip, let's get them off. Alright, so we're going to have to get some weight off the, there we go, off the wheel, so just lift it a wee bit. And there she is. There's a couple of washers in there. Number 1 is off. Alright, so I'm on the other side now. Just noticed this is right in the way of the kickstand, so we'll see how we go anyway. Let's take some weight off again, pull it out. Alright, come on, bit of water in there. There we go. Yeah, see that? That's interesting. Alright, I'll just have a quick look at it and see what's going on. Alright, so that was all good. It's just short enough to come out enough here without hitting the kickstand and then dropping down, so let's move to the next one. There you go, guys. There's that part of the linkage off. And how do we look? zero grease. Almost nothing. So it's a good thing we've taken this apart. Right, so what we'll do now is we'll just get the wheel out of the way, like so. Then we'll move on to that suspension bolt there, and then the other one over there somewhere. Clean it all up, re-grease it, put it back together. Should be a job done. Alright, so I've just cracked this one loose because it's just impossible with the camera in the way. So that's nice and loose now. Alright, so this last one up here was a bit of a pain because if you can see, if I can get in there close enough, I can't get my socket in there because that's just too wide here. But what I did was go to the other side, which is more room, and I was hoping that it would loosen the nut on that side, which it did, thankfully. So now I should be able to just get this on there and loosen it, because I couldn't get leverage with this on the nut. So let's get this bloody thing off. Alright, here we go guys. She's off, finally. So let's get cleaning this up. So what have we got here? Here's the caps, for example. Not so much grease in there. It's a good idea for you guys if you've got a new DR650, this is what to expect. Let's pull one of these out and see what the inside of these look like. I've got one hand, sorry guys. Yeah, see there's barely anything on them. As you can see there. Next to nothing. So I'll just pull all this apart, clean it, re-grease it, and then reassemble. Alright, she's nice and clean, heaps of grease, ready to go. So I'll start putting it back on the bike and I'll get back to you once it's put back together. Alright, so all done. Let's double check to make sure everything's put together properly. I'm definitely disappointed in how much grease they put on from factory. It's definitely well worth doing, especially if you've got a bike, a little bit older bike. So let's drop it and see if it functions normally. Yeah, pull that out of the way. Alright, I'll put the camera down and we'll see if it looks normal and everything's functioning. Alright, so here we go. Yep, everything seems normal. Feels like a DR650 or a boat. And then I stop. Alright, job done. So that's what we're going to do tonight. I've just been going through what I need. We need to lift the front wheel off the ground, obviously, for the forks. Just went and picked this 32mm up for the head stem. And then I thought, well, obviously we'll need a socket set. And then the flat head and the mallet will be for taking off that little collar down there. So that's how I'm going to do it. And obviously the breaker bar, the 32mm. So I think that's all I need, so let's get into it. Alright, so I don't think I'll lift it up just yet. What we'll start with, I'm just going to wing it guys. We'll take off these handlebars and see if we can get them just to move off to the side so we don't have to mess around with too much stuff. And then once we do that, we should be able to get to that big 32mm nut there, loosen that off. And we'll loosen these off too. So let's do it. Alright, first things first, let's get this down in there. Just a wee guide for it later on. A little bit quicker to put together, you know. 12mm. I'm really curious to see how dry these headstand bearings are, because so far it hasn't been that impressive for the rest of the bike, so we'll see. Yep, okay, I'll get these off. Okay, my cables are quite tight, but I think I can move it just enough. But we'll take this off first, just to get it out of the way. So what I think I'll do is I'll just turn it a little bit, find some way to hold it there, tape, cable ties, whatever, I'll figure it out, and then it's all open for us to work on. Alright, it's a little bit crude, but it seems to be working. Just got a piece of string, pulling it forwards this way to give us good access, heaps of room here, so should be alright like that, doesn't seem to be moving. So let's get this 32 off. Alright, so it just popped off. Pretty easy to do, just by hand actually. So then we need to get this off. What I'm going to do, guys, is just loosen this, get the forks to drop once I have it on the stand, just expose the bearings and then re-grease them. There's no point taking everything apart, being a semi-new bike. So we'll do that. At least we get to see how dry they are from the factory. So let's keep going. Alright, so how tight is this going to be? Not very at all. It's a bonus. So we'll get this loose and carry on. Alright guys, so the moment we've been waiting for. Let's see what these bearings look like. There's a wee bit on there, not a lot. What do you guys think? That is pretty much a new Dr650. That's how much oil they come with from the factory. That's quite interesting. So I've just got the front wheel being held by the mallet there because it wants to slide straight out. But I think I'll leave the video at that, guys. I'm sure you know how to put it back together. Pretty much the same way as we took it apart. So I'll get greasing these up, and then, yeah, at least we know how much grease they have. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on the next video. Cheers.